Good
Hello.
afternoon, everyone. My name is Denise Meredith. I'm the CEO of Denise Meredith Consultants, which is a public and community relations S Corp. And also I'm CEO of World's Best Connectors, which is a virtual group of communities of community of C-suite executives that help others. I've hosted innumerable nationally seen webinars and podcasts, but I'm particularly happy today and honored to host this special event for the Financial Policy Council, which I joined last year. Today's webinar is named Positive Disruptors for Change. It could easily have been called Disruptors for Positive Change because I feel all of these leaders are making positive changes in how we do business. So I'm not going to take any more time. Let's get started. I know all of our panelists, and I'll have them introduce themselves here. I know all of them have had many accomplishments in life. But today, I'm going to ask each of you to tell us briefly about how, when, and where you started your latest business. So I don't know, is Tom Hatton on yet? I can't see everybody on the list here on the screen.
Let me do the introduction by the time we wait for our panelists. Because we still have, I think, Tom and Greg.
Okay, we can, I'll come back to him when we find him. It's a lot of people online here. Fine. So let's start with Veda Manager. Veda and I have been friends for longer than we hate to talk about. But Veda, why don't you tell us about how, when, and where you got started?
Yes, good to be with you, and thanks for the invitation to share with you today, Denise and everyone. It's great to share. I'm a former Nike executive, former Levi's executive. Also started in kind of the governmental realm. I'm now an investor at Manager Global Holdings, which has minority holdings in several different sectors, parking businesses. We're in hotel laundry businesses, which is probably our latest business. We also, through private equity, have now secured some equity positions in a couple of NBA franchises. Unfortunately, none of those NBA franchises are in the Eastern Conference Finals or headed to the NBA Finals, but the Hawks and the Kings had good years. So we stay diversified on a number of different fronts, and so that's been my latest business. It's been a fun life, particularly the Nike life. We'll talk a little bit about Nike a little bit later. I'm also on the corporate board. That's another thing that I do, is serve on corporate boards. So I'm on the corporate board of Valvoline Inc., the oil change business, which is in the midst of some disruption right now because of electric vehicles and hydrocell vehicles, et cetera. So I'm in real-time disruption right now, figuring out the next chapter of how we're going to transform a 175-year-old legacy oil change brand and make it current and relevant to new consumers and keep that brand going for shareholders and employees. So thank you very much. Good to be with you.
Great to have you here. Greg, hey, how are you?
I am here, and I will go live on video in
2 seconds.
10 seconds. I'm here. How are you?
Good. Tell us about yourself and what you're doing now.
Yeah, I've been in the real estate industry. I'm an attorney in 2 states, but I've been in the real estate industry all of my life. And I think the big takeaway from what I'm doing is that while the way homes are marketed has changed dramatically over the years. And what I mean by that is 20 years ago, homes were marketed through newspaper ads, Homes Magazine ads, and for sale signs. And some of you may not even remember that world prior to Zillow. But once homes started to be available to be seen online on home search portals like Zillow and Realtor.com, the challenge that the real estate industry or realtors faced was no longer to find a buyer, but rather how you put that home in front of the buyer to make the home stand apart from all the others, attract more buyers, build a competitive environment, and apply what I've developed as 4 psychological drivers: social proof, scarcity, fear of loss, and opportunity, the kind of psychological drivers that Fortune 500 companies use to sell premium products, to apply those psychological drivers to a process, or let's say incorporate those psychological drivers in a process that would enable home sellers to sell their homes more quickly and at significantly higher prices. And again, the foundation of it all is something that the real estate industry as a whole has not really taken advantage of. And that is that the challenge is no longer to find a buyer. realtors who come out and say, well, I need 6 months to find a buyer. That's ridiculous. They don't need 30 days to find a buyer. They actually don't need 8 days to find a buyer. The buyers are right there in front of them. It's just how they position the home, what they say, the photos they use, and then the process they use once the buyers reach out to sell the home. So we reinvented the home selling process from the ground up. And again, I'm founder, CEO of 72 Sold. We are the far and away most dominant brokerage in Arizona. And we have about 5,000 agents nationwide across the country now. We're doing television advertising in 81 major markets. And basically telling home sellers there is a better way to sell your home. This better way only takes 8 days. And 6 independent studies over the past 3 years have shown that sellers who use our program walk away with 8.4 to 12% higher prices on average. And finally, the last study, which was in the first quarter of this year, so very, very, very current, showed that 9,120 home sellers who had used our program and their homes closed in that quarter, they ended up walking away with 9.1%. That's a lot of money on a $500,000 home. That's $45,000. They ended up walking away with an average of 9.1% higher prices than other similar homes sold in their MLS. So that's what we've done. We just developed a better product, a better way to sell homes. It's faster, it's more certain, generates higher prices for sellers. And our company is, disruptive in the traditional agents. We're not the most popular game in town with traditional agents, but with respect to our agents, they love it. And our clients, they love it. And in fact, we're the most highly reviewed real estate organization in the world. We have over 2,000 5-star reviews on Google. So we're in the top 300 fastest growing companies in the country in the Inc. 5000. So yeah, and having a lot of work, but having a lot of fun along the way.
All right,
Hey,
thanks,
Denise,
Greg.
if I can add, I think Greg's ads are great. I've seen them. I just came in from Tampa and saw them in and out of Florida, came back to Arizona. I've seen them here. And if you ever tried to buy a pair of Jordans or the hot Nike tennis shoes, my former company, you'll know the scarcity principle he just mentioned is at work at a company like Nike. So good work, Greg. Thank you, Denise.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
And by the way, I just watched the movie a couple nights ago, Air. That's the story of Nike, the Air Jordans, Michael Jordan. What a great, if you haven't seen that I think it was on Netflix, wherever it was, it's excellent.
Yeah, if you can't disrupt an industry, create one, and that's what Nike did.
That's
And you're doing that in the real estate business.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. Heba, did we find Tom?
I don't think Tom is here yet. So
Okay, time waits for no one, so we'll move right along. And Ziad is next, and I've actually known Ziad, I don't know, maybe 3 years already. I met him through Alliances, which is a networking group here in Arizona, and he's been great for me, great influence, very positive role model for me in the world of business. So Ziad, tell everybody about yourself and what you do.
Ziad, would you like me to introduce? Okay.
Basically, to make a long story short, I'm in finance. My dad was in finance. My grandfather was in finance. My kids are 2 Wall Street traders in finance. So finance defines our family and my business. Finance, for me, why finance? Because I can tackle many industries, because everybody needs money. And whether you want to build a business, want to invest your capital, etc. It's the glue. It glues everything all across the board. I'm not an expert in operating companies because it will require 1,000 years to know about every single industry. But I'm an expert in putting together financing structures and vetting the right people. That's what counts. At the end of the day, if you can move money and you can move the right people or tap into the right resources, you are unstoppable, and you are extremely disruptive, because everything is based on people and money. That's what it takes, whatever industry you tackle. So this is how I decided to allocate my time, my resources on, given my background. Now, why an entrepreneur and when did I start my business? Well, when I came to the United States as a legal immigrant back in the early 80s, I got my MBA from the Wharton School of Finance, and I started working, and this is the only and first and only job I ever got, working for the fiercest investment bank on Wall Street called Drexel Burnham, run by Michael Milken, who basically came up with junk bonds, the commercialization on junk bonds, where any company could buy another one, even if that other company is 100 times bigger. I was fascinated by that. I learned the finance business there. And then when our dear US government decided to put Drexel out of business for some technicality bullshit, I said, I will never work for any company anymore. Because if a company back in 1990 is doing $4 billion in profit, $1990, and you put it out of business, we're headed towards something very bad. If you think about the German government putting some companies like the Bundesbank, etc., out of business. Anyway, so I decided to become an entrepreneur. And the first business I started with, it wasn't Black Hawk. It was a business whereby we went refinancing the bonds that we sold, the junk bonds that we sold to our clients. These guys were highly leveraged transaction. I thought instead of joining another Wall Street firm and doing this, let's refinance these bonds. It was a bonanza because those companies had borrowed billions of dollars and they needed to raise equity and to deleverage their balance sheet, which I did for 7 years. We started the company with a bunch of Drexel, did this for 7 years, then sold the company to one of our clients, a corporate trader. He's a billionaire called Ben LeBeau. That was my first entrepreneurial venture. The second one was in '97, jumped on the internet bandwagon, took a company, the stock in less than 1 year because of, from $3 a share to $31 a share, and then cashed out. My third venture, which is Black Hawk, which I started back in 2000, after that. And at that time, Black Hawk was not what it is today. It was a very different kind of play. We were in the physical commodities trading business, oil, all the derivatives, gold, all that kind of stuff, all in the commodities business. Why? Because I saw the opportunity there. And I realized that very few people in the world know at the same time can speak Arabic, have worked on Wall Street, and know the oil business. So I said, I want to be one of those people. So this is how you become disruptive. By going into things that nobody taught you about, and you decided to jump into that and be disruptive. The physical commodities trading business is the most profitable business in the world, by the way. It's more profitable than all the venture capital firms, all the private equity firms, all the money management firms combined. There's 10 companies who control the whole thing, and they make $16 trillion in profits. Trillion. Everything you want to buy gasoline, you want to move the oil, the heat, everything is run by these companies. I thought this was a very disruptive and lucrative business, even if I take 0.01% share of the profits, which I did. Eventually, I went into the private equity business. I went into the debt financing business, project finance business. I went into, right now, I'm involved with a trade platform. So at the end of the day, I look at people, I look at where the money is, where the people are, what are the sectors that have been dismantled, annihilated. That's where you go. You find the Achilles heel and you put behind you all those resources, human capital and financial capital, to disrupt them even more. Because as Warren Buffett says, You really make real money when blood is on the streets, when everything is screwed up. You don't make money in good times. In good times, every moron makes money. It's okie dokie, everybody's happy. But in the times like this, where very disruptive, like we are in today, that's how you make money. And that's how you disrupt even more. I love disruption because it keeps you very aware of things. When you think about it historically, we went through the 87 stock market crash, 1990 credit crunch, 1998 internet debacle, 2000, early 2000 real estate crunch, 2008 financial crisis. So, and every time you either basically give up and succumb, or you become stronger. So I don't focus on industry. I focus on people. I focus on money, because at the end of the day, these people are going to run the companies I invest into, because I cannot be everywhere. So that's pretty much my background.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. I just want to mention, I got a text from Tom Hatton, who is the CEO of Mountainside Fitness. He had a family emergency he had to attend to, so best wishes for him. And that sort of almost put my business, the World's Best Connectors, out of business last year. Just so many people had things happen to them or to relatives that disrupted their business. So we'll catch up with him another time if you want to go online and take a look at what he does. Tom, I first met Tom when I was a freelance reporter for a long time, back when we had newspapers. So I interviewed him when he was first opening Mountainside Fitness. I think he had like 1 or 2 small little fitness centers. Now he's, I guess, pretty much one of the top ones here in Arizona. He has 19 centers. And most of us know, if you have people, New Year's resolution, they get a membership to a fitness center and don't go there after February. Okay. Well, he's figured out the way to keep people coming and to keep them in there for years without, turning in there, asking for a refund. So he's just done a lot in that field, a lot as far as attracting employees, able to attract and keep employees with the turnover there is. He's able to do that. And he's quite a popular figure here in Arizona. A lot in the news. He's bigger than life. So you can look up more about him later. But I want to get on to my next question. And there's an old saying, and my mom used to have a zillion of them, and I used to think it was really corny, and now I use them myself. So something happens when you get older. Your parents get wiser as you get older. But then essentially, there's an old saying that says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, we have a lot broke now. Okay, we have a lot broken. So what I want to ask of each of you briefly is, for one economic challenge, and most of you have started along that path anyway and discussing why you started your business, but just pick out one challenge that prompted you, something you saw, something that happened to you personally, whatever, what one thing that prompted you to do things differently, and how does your business do that? So why don't we start with Greg this time?
Okay, I am back. I've been fortunate over the years that I didn't really need to start this business 72 years old because of an economic challenge that I had. That goes back years ago. I got past that. But really more an economic challenge that, quite frankly, home sellers were incurring throughout the country. And I think it's pretty well known, but it may not be that well known, that home sellers represent the largest single segment of private economic activity in the country. So individuals selling their home result in a higher volume of aggregate sales than any other industry. And it makes sense because homes are hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So the economic challenge or the economic issues that home sellers were facing, and they didn't know it. And that's what's even worse, is that the longer their home sat on the market, the lower their price. And I want to clarify that. Their home didn't necessarily sit on the market because it was overpriced. It may have, or it may not have. But studies have shown that irrespective of where they price their home, if a home sits on the market, it will sell for a lower price given a median value, what it should for, than if it sells more quickly. And why? Well, I think that's intuitive. A home could sit for a month and never have been shown one time, but the buyer who sees it after a month is going to presume that it's been shown, presume that it's been rejected, and be concerned that something's wrong. Either it's overpriced or something's wrong. Whatever it is, that buyer will not offer as much. So the economic challenge or economic issue, that when we built our model, that one of the ones that we strove to resolve is how can you sell homes more quickly with just that? Put aside the psychological drivers, put aside all the things we do to cause buyers to make higher offers. We even have a process where we're able to figure out in over 75% of the cases, like if you were selling your home and you get an offer through us, in most cases, even if that buyer's with another agent, which is typically the case, we can typically tell you how much higher that buyer will pay over their offer to you. So you're not counter offering in the blind. And yet the real estate industry, since it began, was about sellers counter offering in the blind and hoping the buyers would take it. We've even been able to resolve that issue. So we've developed a way to sell homes much more quickly. Our whole process is 8 days. That's it. We developed a process that leverages the psychological drivers. And then we've developed a process that, because of the 8 days and because of what we do in the 8 days, resolves the economic challenge or issue that home sellers have been facing, which also involves a high degree of uncertainty, is not only when will my home sell, but how much less am I going to take because it sat there unsold? And then one last thing, there's also numerous studies over the years that show there's another factor that results in homeowners getting significantly lower prices than they could. And that is what we call buyer delay after seeing the home. So you have the aggregate time on the market from the moment it started, it was put out there, but then you also have a showing that might take place. And the longer a buyer delays in making an offer after seeing the home, typically the lower their offers or the more likely those buyers will end up buying another home and you'll lose them altogether. So we developed a process to solve that and give buyers a significant reason, a compelling reason, if they like a home, to make offers immediately, as opposed to dragging it a day or 2 or 3. And you know how it is. You go in, you're retail shopping. You go into a store, you see something, I think I'll buy it. I kind of like it, but you just don't pull the trigger. You kidding me? Later that day, you've forgotten about it. You were almost bought it. And if something had triggered that caused you to do it, you'd go home with it in your package and you'd probably keep it. So we've even developed processes to eliminate buyer delay after a showing. So that's really, from an economic standpoint, the world we live in is solving the economic challenges that homeowners have, that without them knowing it, and that's the real sin of it, without them knowing it, is costing them hundreds of millions of dollars in lost sale prices every year. So does that help, Denise?
Yep. No, that's really interesting approach and refreshing for the home buyer. I'm usually on that end of the stick. So anyway, Veda.
Interesting, if I could answer, from a home buyer perspective, we're not, obviously we work with home buyers every day, thousands. But do remember, the seller pays the commission. And one of the unusual and pretty disruptive things about maybe what we do is that we only represent sellers. We do not represent buyers. We will not show you a home. We'll only show you a home if you're one of our sellers and you want us to help you. And at that point, we'd rather not sell you one of our own homes. we want to sell you somebody else's home because we're really good at getting you a good deal, but we flat out will not get you a good deal on one of ours, and we'll tell you that. So we're also quite disruptive in that we're not a real estate organization for everybody. We're a real estate organization exclusively and only for sellers. And I think that has served us well too, having a singular purpose, and that is to serve a certain segment of clientele, instead of trying to be everything to everybody and make every little bitty commission we can from any direction. That is not what we try to do every day.
Well, the specialization helps because there is a lot of confusion in the process, because you have some real estate people doing both. So
You have most every real estate person in the world doing both. Yeah, true.
right. So
Yeah,
it's true.
so I hope that answers
Yeah.
your question.
Yeah, it's great. Veda, we've talked about franchises and what happens to franchises, particularly during this past pandemic. And I know you and your group had worked on some help for franchises that you deal with. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, just briefly, thanks, Denise. Loved Greg's examples as well. So the pandemic, obviously, not everyone recovered business-wise after that troubling period, and obviously had tremendous struggle during that time. Obviously, Valvoline is part corporate-owned oil change stores, retail stores, as well as franchisee stores. And we've tried to work with big franchisees, but again, in the pandemic, there were a lot of unknowns economically. So we did have some franchisees that had cash flow problems and issues. So one of the innovative things that we did that differentiated us from Jiffy Lube or some of our other competitors out there, they may have done it, I don't know, but I'll just for the sake of comparison of a competitor of another brand in our sector, we created for our franchisees a low to no interest loan pool during the pandemic, which allowed them to draw upon almost like a line of credit, a line that would help them kind of survive, pay wages, pay salary, things that in some instances either they didn't qualify for a government program for, or they didn't want to take advantage of a government program or miss that opportunity. But it really was a lifeline for them to be able to draw upon this line of credit. And I have to say, we had 100% repayment of that due to our franchise agreements with these franchisees. And it helped a number of them kind of get through, which was a very difficult time. They were moving labor around. They were trying to figure out their inventory and their costs. There were closures due to mass illnesses of the labor pool. So there are a number of different dynamics that they were facing. And it really did build a closer relationship at the end of the pandemic. Obviously, we're still somewhat in or subsided at this stage. It did build a close relationship between the parent company and the franchisee because we threw them a lifeline and they appreciated that. We could have said no, or we could have gone another direction, but these are long-term relationships, and we knew that past the pandemic, it would be important for us to maintain those relationships. So that's just it means, and it worked well. So if you're a business and you have a parent company or run a franchise business, and it doesn't have to be a pandemic like COVID, it could be another disruption or another issue out there, ask your parent company if they're willing to do that. Some franchisees are afraid to do that or would think that it would signal weakness on your part. You never know what the answer might be, and it would help both your parent company as well as you as a business owner and franchisee, because the last thing that a parent company like Valvoline wants to do is close one of its major franchisees due to an unforeseen incident. Now, again, there are other issues like bad management or just bad decision-making. We'll set that aside for a second. But in this case, it was a great win-win for us both. So just another example of innovation and disruption in an area that could set us aside from other competitors in that zone.
Well, that's great. Oh, thanks a lot. Ziad, I think most Americans now see economics as an art rather than a science, and depending on what network you watch. So you've dealt with, and obviously we've had a lot of discussions about a lot of different economic challenges going on, and you have a lot of great solutions to those. But why don't you pick out one economic challenge today and tell us your approach? You've started, you covered some of it earlier, but pick out one.
Look, okay, I get you. Look, I don't look at it economic challenge. I don't look at things because they are in this industry or that sector or that technology. This is all not important as much as, not as important as the right people. I look at the right people who can execute, who are not only smart. There are a lot of smart people out there, but there are a lot of bullshit orders. They cannot execute shit. Whatever company you give them, you can have an A product or a B team, or an A team and a B product. I look at people. I cannot have expertise in every single asset class out there. But who are the people who can be the absolute best, who have a track record, who have skin in the game, and who need the firepower to execute? Give me real estate, give me technology, doesn't matter. I'm not going to understand all this technology or this real estate, but I am very good at understanding and vetting people. I can smell bullshit 1,000 miles away. Honestly, and this is a skill. My partners tell me you are on steroids when it comes to that. Some people come in, they look good, they speak good, they are slick, they are this. I tell them this guy is full of shit. And then after 6 months, they come and tell me you were absolutely right. He's going to make it happen, or she is going to make it happen. So when it comes to financing project, any kind of project, you know, we're financing right now a methanol project. It's a green field. Doesn't matter, but the people are exceptional. So it's all about people and execution. 3 things I look at when financing any project. Number 1, skin in the game. If the person doesn't have skin in the game, I have no interest in talking to them. If they tell me they don't have money, they didn't make money, well, let them go back and do something to make money to start talking to them. Because if you haven't made, let's say, $10 million or $100 million on your watch, you're not going to make it on my watch. I'm not here, this is not charity here. I'm not here to empower you. Show me that you have done something to empower you. So number 1 is skin in the game. Any project that's presented to me with no skin in the game is a killer. It's not going to work. It's killed. Number two, track record. A lot of people come in like, you know, lawyers, economists, advisors, you know, they want to build this, they want to develop that, etc. They don't have a track record. Like the other day, there's a guy who was an advisor to Starwood, big real estate company, for 20 years. But he was not an operator, he was just an advisor. And he wanted to make real money and to become a developer himself. So he said he decided to start his company, but he never developed any property in his 20 years. He was taking fees and stuff like that. I told him, no, we need to deal with operators, whether they have succeeded or they have failed. It's okay if they have failed, because you learn from your failures. And frankly, I prefer much more to finance an operator who has failed because he's eager to succeed. He wants to prove to the world that he's really smart and he can do it, than an obnoxious guy who worked for, let's say, IBM for 20 years and who went to Harvard Business School. I have no interest with these guys. These guys are losers. They cannot be entrepreneurs. You cannot be entrepreneur like this. So people with skin in the game, people with a track record, and people who have a clear-cut vision as to how they're going to execute. You know, everybody tells me about the what, the why, the, oh, this is a huge industry, $100 billion. If I capture 1% of it, I'm going to be a billionaire. This is all bullshit. Bullshit. It's about the how, not the what, the why, the when, the where. All of these entrepreneurs, they tell you in their business plan, the what, the why, the when, the where. They don't tell you how they're going to execute. Business is war. You are General Schwarzkopf. How are you going to deploy your armies to win the war? How? Very few entrepreneurs can articulate that. You know, oh, we do some ads. Ads don't destroy execution. How you going to tell me exactly how you can take it from A to Z? Very few people can do that. So if you can pass these 3 things, and that's all. I don't care about the size of the industry, etc. If you can pass these 3 things, that's fine. Another thing, I'm talking about the financing, and I've talked about the investment on the other side. Since all what I do is either financing or investment. So on the financing now, and you know, this is the heart of everything. Everybody needs money. but very few people get the money because they don't know the basics about funding their operation, whatever operation it is, in whatever country it is. These are the three things: track record, skin in the game, and execution. You don't have this, you have nothing. And most of them don't have anything. And this is why 99% of the people don't get funded. Very simple. Then another thing that came up, all these guys that come up with businesses that are going to still lose money for the next 3 years. This is startups or early stage. They lose money for the next 3 years. So I told them, okay, what can we do about it? I'm not going to invest in a business that's going to lose money for 3 years because you're telling me this is a super sexy technology that's going to revolutionize the world. No. You know, what I look for in that is I asked them the question, what will it take you to be profitable 6 months after I fund you? 99% of the people will tell me, oh, it cannot be, because they learned the shit at a stupid professor at Harvard Business School. Oh, you have to lose money for like 2 to 3 years. It's normal. It's not normal. They know nothing. They pontificate. They have no skin in the game. I have no respect for these people. So my question is, what is it going to take to be profitable in 6 months? They tell me you can. Well, I tell them, so the answer, my suggestion, you're not a businessman. You can be very smart. You have a PhD from MIT. They dazzle me with they worked with the Israeli Defense Forces, like if I give a fuck about that or it's going to make any difference or anything like that. You don't. If with all the money in the world, you cannot turn a business profitable in 6 months maximum, you are not a businessman. Go and find yourself a job because you're not here. A possible answer, a smart answer would be for somebody who answers this, and very few people say this, by the way, is to go and buy a business, do a roll-up. Use this money, go use your company as a platform to go and buy an existing business and roll it over, cash flowing business, etc. That's how you scale. Because at the end of the day, scalability is everything in a business. Now, look, I spend most of my time trying to connect the dots for what the future will look like in 5 to 7 years. Choose the right people and place my bets accordingly. It is a bet, but the wrong bet is the wrong people. You choose the wrong people, you're screwed. That's it. And then lawsuits and problems and a lot of things. It's all about people. People don't focus enough on people. You know, it's a very casual relationship, you know. Yeah, we talk, hi, how you doing? They connect on LinkedIn. They think they're going to fund their deal because they connect on LinkedIn. And then if I say no, their response, they just vanish. You hear crickets. It doesn't work like this. We will fund will to power people who want to crush their competition. If not capable of that, don't pitch me your story. I don't want to hear your story. Waste of time and money. Business is war. John D. Rockefeller used to say, I don't need competition, I crush it. If you don't have this burning desire to go to war, to use all this ammunition, all these people, all this money to execute flawlessly and to absolutely prevail, you're never going to be very rich. You're never going to get big backing. You are like every other guy. Most of the entrepreneurs, 99%, are lifestyle entrepreneurs. I'll tell you what it means. It means lifestyle entrepreneurs are people who could not get a job, and now by default they are entrepreneurs. These are not serial entrepreneurs. That's different. People confuse. Not everybody's entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is a guy who runs his business that runs itself. The consulting business is not entrepreneurship. The consulting business is not scalable. The consulting business sitting at your home and doing this and that is not profitable. You have to run a business, fix a business that's going to scale by itself. You need the best people. You need real money behind it. Because if you don't have real money behind it, if you make a mistake, the buffer is gone, so you're screwed. So that's on the financing. We can elaborate more, but you know, this is how I'm very disruptive in that. And sometimes I come across very, I'm sorry? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
And sometimes I cross very aggressive with people. No, It's not a question I want to be aggressive. This is what it takes. I've been doing it for 30 years. I financed over 150 companies, $20 billion, and invested in most of them, and still own a number of them. I sit on the board of a number of them. This is how you have to be. It's not. This is not like, you know, a game here. On the investment side, let's talk about that. You know, I don't invest in specific asset class because it constantly changes. You know, I mean, stocks are sometimes hard, bonds are hard, bitcoins are hard, alternative investments are hard, etc. But at the end of the day, I invest in securities or in deeds that are liquid. Even if I invest in a company, in a private company, I want to be out in 3 years. I do it like a trader. I'm not like these venture capital, private equity funds who are there for 10 years, and I don't have the patience for 10 years. I will give you all the firepower you want. If you know how to execute, if you show me you can, I want to be out in 3 years, maximum. That's it. So every asset class I invest in, I want liquidity, number one. Number two, I want, if I'm invested in, not right now, we have a trade platform program, we invest in AAA rated securities. We get a good yield. I don't invest in junk. I don't invest in third rate. I don't invest in pink sheets. I invest in real estate, you know, in specific areas, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's very selective. But at the end of the day, even when I don't invest in funds, I don't give money to fund managers, because most of them, the best hedge funds do 15% a year. Plus you have to pay a 2% fee. I mean, they throw you all this bullshit that they are so superb with slick brochures. They're nothing. They're very average people. They're not mavericks. They're not contrarian. I'm a contrarian. If the 7 billion people on this planet are going to invest in something, you know what? I may not agree with them and invest differently. People feel comfort with investing with others, or the majority thinks that, or Goldman Sachs thinks that. Like this guy showed me the other day a deal where Warren Buffett and Goldman Sachs has invested $150 million each, and they needed another $75 million to complete the financing of that project, right? Goldman and Warren Buffett. And I looked at the numbers. This is pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So this guy was selling me the brand that Goldman and Buffett have invested in this. Most of the people would say, oh, this is great. If Buffett invested in this, it must be good. No, it must not be good. The numbers shock. Buffett made a stupid mistake and Goldman made a bigger mistake. So I'm going to invest to bail them out because Goldman and people are so impressed by the names. They don't do their homework. They don't read. They don't do anything. They just go and invest. You know, I'm very contrarian in this respect. I don't follow the crowd. I don't believe in brand names. I don't care. You know, all these guys, they have this reverence. Oh, this guy is a sheik or a president or a doctor. I don't give a rat's ass about that. It's not these names that are going to impress me. It's numbers. Track record. What's your track record? Oh, yeah. Most of the people don't have a track record. Most of the people, believe it or not, don't have anything to offer other than bullshit. Most of the people, they hide it. They hide their track record. You have to be very astute when doing your due diligence, asking the right questions, and making sure that these people really have what it takes. If not, you're screwed.
Great. Well, now I think people see why Ziad was noted by LA Weekly as being one of the top 10 disruptors to watch out for in 2023. Great advice, Ziad. My next one is a sort of speed question. One sentence answer. Disruptors can be good or bad, as we know, depending on your objective and sometimes today your beliefs. But briefly, in your own words, one sentence, how would you define disruptor? So I'll start with Greg again.
Okay, how would I define a disruptor? I guess the first thing I should do is get a disruptor back on video, right? So
Yep.
One sentence. In one sentence, I would define a disruptor as somebody who makes a significant positive change in their industry. So somebody who makes a significant positive change in their industry that causes their industry to serve consumers better. So somebody who makes a significant positive change in their industry that results in their industry serving consumers better. To wit, Amazon, significant positive change that enabled the retail industry to serve consumers better. To wit, Uber made a significant positive change in the personal A to B transportation industry that resulted in that industry actually serving consumers better. So that's the way I would define it in a sentence.
Okay, thanks. Veda.
Yes, I would say an innovator. And one of the things I often say in presentations is, and I live this and believe it, and I walk into rooms on business matters, don't ask me to defend what I didn't help to define. And what that means is if I'm not at the table to help shape the decision, shape the business strategy, don't send me out to the cameras or the SEC or to the investors to, as Ziad was just talking about, to spend something on brand name that doesn't have any substance behind it. So don't ask me to defend what I didn't help to define. And I believe an innovator is a disruptor.
Thanks. Ziad, you're on.
Well, innovation is the word, but it's even more than that. I have a favorite quote that was said by one of the most Machiavellian, maverick people who ever existed on the planet. His name is Niccolo Machiavelli. Of course, the name Machiavelli from Machiavellian. He said, and this was written 500 years ago, and this guy was really one of the smartest mavericks out there. He said, one of the most difficult things in the world that you ever do is to change the order of things. And the more you can change the order of things, the more of a disruptor you are. You know, the world tells you this is how it is. The establishment tells you this is how it is. You either abide or wither. Well, you have to have the balls to say, you establishment, I'm gonna have you wither. And because by doing this act, the more disruptive you can be is by changing the order of things. Don't take anything for granted because some luminary said that, or because Warren Buffett said that, or because Mr. X said this. You know, believe in your gut. I am very much into gut feeling, you know, very much. All this shit you learn and they teach you at school, they know nothing. These people know nothing. And if they were so smart, they would be there making videos. Yes, I would listen to a guy like, Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. They're disruptors, major disruptors. I will listen to them. I will not listen to a professor from Harvard Business School, some piece of shit liberal college, who tells me you should do that. If you are so smart, go in the industry and do that yourself and make billions instead of $400,000 a year. Okay, so I'm not going to listen to somebody who makes $400,000 a year because he's at Harvard and because he follows a brand. No, these people are not right. It's all based on values. You have values. You're born with certain values, whether they're good values or bad values. You have values. So you have to live your life according to your values. And you have to trust your instinct on that. A lot of people are going to come and disrupt those values, whether in business, whether in politics, whether etc. But you have to have the balls, the brains, and the heart to basically prevail. You have to change it. You have to be able, although if you want to really be successful, you're going to piss off a lot of people. You're going to disrupt a lot of things. You're not going to abide by anybody. You're going to be a real maverick, and you're not going to take shit from no one. You may not be the most popular, but you will definitely be the wealthiest. You will not be the most popular. It's your choice. Some people don't want to be wealthy. That's fine. They want to, adapt with their peers and be loved by everybody and have 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. Like, who the fuck cares how many followers you have? If you cannot change the order of things and do what you want and execute with the right people, with the right resources, what are you living for? For what? or eating, sleeping, and abiding by what a senile president is telling you, or what the people who run the Fed are telling you, all manipulation. Everybody believes everybody. You give them some big audience and they think, oh, this is it. This is not it. Jesus was the biggest rebel ever, maverick ever in the history of the world. Ever. Look what he did. He didn't have an army. He didn't have, I'm not preaching here, but just notice. He didn't have an army. There was no electricity. He didn't have nothing. 2,000 years later, we still talk about him. He's the biggest disruptor who ever existed on the planet. And with all these egomaniacs today, like, oh, I have this, I have nukes, I have this, I have that. You're gonna listen to me because I have that. Wake the fuck up, rebel. If not, you're going nowhere. Your life has no meaning. You're a dust in the wind. You're dust in the wind. It's all about people. It's all about money. All the rest is for the birds. You have to understand this. Live according to your values. Be happy. Don't take shit from no one. That's it.
Hey, Denise, since Ziad mentioned one of the great disruptor, I guess since he mentioned Jesus, maybe the second great disruptor is Steve Jobs. When we were talking in the pre-session, I thought I'd do a little show and tell here. Everyone knows that Steve Jobs and Apple did not create the MP3 player that could convey digital music to consumers. What he created was the library, iTunes, to do so. This is actually one of the very first from my closet MP3 players developed by Philips and Nike that could convey digital music. It's only 128 kilobytes. And now, as you know, you can get an iPhone with 256 gigabytes, small, but it really shows you the disruption that Apple, if Philips would have created the library content along with the machinery, along with Nike, I'd probably be doing this podcast from an island somewhere that I owned versus from my home in Phoenix. But it just is a great tool and a reminder about disruption and the tools of such.
Absolutely, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. This is a good point. Yeah, Steve Jobs is an amazing disruptor. When you think about it, he founded Apple. The board fires him, and he comes back, builds $1 trillion company, market cap, and fires them all. That's disruption. This guy had balls, had vision, had a heart, had everything. If you're not like, the problem is a lot of people care a lot about what other people think about them. Well, you can be a disruptor. You're not stealing, you're not cheating, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just taking a firm stand. People usually do not like people who are so confident, so assertive, and take a firm stand. Because they're not like this. They know they will never be like this. They're jealous and they try to put them down. It's human nature. It's human nature. Look at Trump. All what he did is mean tweets, and now they want to bring him down because they cannot control him. Make sure, this is it. People who you cannot control basically are people usually the targets. And usually the mavericks and the contrarians are people you cannot control because they don't give a shit about you and how you feel. They're going to do it anyway. So you better join with them forces rather than be their enemy, because they will destroy you no matter what it takes. It's a reality. It's a fact. People don't say that because they don't have the balls to say that. I say it. That's exactly the reality from experience.
Okay, thanks.
There've been some great posts in the chat as well. So I compliment the audience for their comments and definitions of disruptor as well.
Yeah, we're gonna hear some of those. Yeah, I just have a couple of more quick questions, and I want to get to the audience as well. I used to manage 10,000 employees, so I've seen every style that there is, and I've seen people at all different styles be great leaders. So this one is one word, one adjective to describe that you think best describes your style, why you are the way you are. Greg, you're on. Greg, still there?
Oh, I'm here. Sorry.
He's thinking. Okay. One word.
Yep. One word that describes my style. That's pretty interesting. I would say management style, one word. brief and brilliant beats big and bloated. So one word is definitely brief and brilliant. So I'm going to say, Cassie, could you come in a sec, please? I am going to say direct.
Say it again.
One word, direct, D-I-R-E-C-T.
Oh, direct. Okay.
Direct.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Veda.
I would say servant leader. I think I've inspired people to do things and achieve results by they know that I would roll up my sleeves and would never ask anyone to do something I wouldn't do myself. That's it, Denise. Servant leader.
Sounds good. Ziad.
I would say relentless maverick. I never give up, ever. Even if the whole world crumbles, I never give up. I'll find an opportunity to make it happen. I'm relentless, and I'm a total contrarian, maverick, rebel, totally. I resent authority. I resent authority. The only boss I have is money. That's my boss. All the rest, I don't, no. I resent authority. Since I was very young, I resent authority because, I come from Lebanon and I saw all the shit happening there with all the people in politics, the excesses, etc. I resent authority. I want to crush authority. I will find a way to crush authority and make money out of it by doing good and making money. It's all about doing good, making money. All these forces in power today, a lot of them are corrupt to the core, are incompetent, are stupid, are morons, are seniles. That's it. Find a way to crush them and make money. That's my vision. If not, my life is not worth much. This is like, as Winston Churchill used to say, if you don't have any enemies in your life, you haven't stood up for anything. Make the world happen. So to make a long story short, I'm sorry I went into that. It's relentless maverick. Hello? Are you here?
Denise, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. I think Denise is frozen.
Yes, I think so.
Rose.
Yeah, I think we get.
Good, you're still good. You're still good.
Yeah.
You just blew Denise away with your answer. That's all, Zia. As always. That happens to me often too. So I'm sure she's dialing back in.
Denise, where are you?
I think she has to log in again.
Yeah, okay.
Well, again, there were some great comments while we're waiting for Denise to get back and moderate. Some great comments, I think, in the chat, if you haven't seen them. And I don't know if any of those individuals that serviced up comments in the chat would like to elaborate on them or explain why they posted what they did.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
comments.
I'm sure Denise will address them.
Yeah,
And
they
while we're
are.
waiting for Denise, if I can ask a quick question that hopefully everybody would be interested in, along the lines of what we're talking about, and that is, can you each tell us very quickly what the turning point in your life was that made you who you are today? When did you know this is it? This is what I'm doing and I'm really damn good at it. Let's start with Ian.
I'm back.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's a good question. I'm sorry. Denise, Barry was asking a very good question. If you don't mind, we'll answer it, then we come back. It's a good question.
Oh, okay. Okay. Go ahead.
And the question was, Barry, repeat that, please.
sure. And sorry, Denise, I took over your webinar, but obviously.
That's quite all right. We have a
Anyway,
bad service here.
Yeah,
The
I know.
question was, for all three of them, very quickly tell us, what was the turning point in your life? What was that aha moment that made you who you are today? Made you know for sure, this is what I do damn well, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
So
that's a good
let's start
question.
with Ian. Zia.
Ziad, do you want to start?
Sorry, I didn't hear. I got the thing. Sorry. What's the moment? At the moment, I decided to not anymore take shit from any company, not work for anybody, and to take the bull by its horns and say, you know what, I'm not going to take shit from no one anymore. You know, if I worked with the smartest people in the world at Drexel, Mike Milken was making in 1988 $800 million a year in salary and bonus. There's no firm that ever existed where people make this kind of money. Never. And they want to put you out of business. I realized this for them that the government is against you, that this is war between the wealth takers and wealth creators. So either you take control in your own hands and screw them, or they're going to screw you. That's it. So I decided this is a game changer. I'm not going to be reporting to any boss. I don't want to take their advice. I don't want to take their experience. I want to experience it myself, even if I lose a lot of money, even if I crash and burn. That's it.
And can I ask how old you were at that point, Zia?
Was it worth it? Absolutely
No,
worth it.
How old were you?
How
When did you
old
make
were
the
you?
decision?
I'm sorry. I was 29.
Okay, you were young. All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Veda.
Veda?
Yeah, Barry, great. It's a great question. So I guess I'm in the show and tell today after the Philips iPod there. So I'm going to show you this picture if you can see it. This is me at 19 sitting on my very first board. And that's the moment, Barry, in which I think I knew sitting around with CEOs of utility companies, a majority owner of the Phoenix Suns, a hospital CEO and others, that I was destined to kind of work as a servant leader, as I said earlier, in an environment and get these individuals, none of whom who look like me, none of whom who great people, but taught me a lot during that time. But I learned at that point that I could fit into a boardroom. And then hence at 19 there, I received my first Fortune 500 board at 48 after a career again at Levi's and Nike. So that was the moment for me. And it's one thing to work in the C-suite at a company. It's another thing to be put into the boardroom. And it really kind of changed the trajectory of the relationships I had. I mean, I go to, some of you might know Montage in Laguna Beach. Sitting over the next table with me at some of the board functions is George Lucas and Melody Hobson. Melody Hobson just donated at Princeton. There's a dorm named after her. They took Woodrow Wilson's name off the dorm and put her name on it. She's married to George Lucas of Star Wars fame. So it just changed the level of relationships and the rooms I was allowed in. But it was at that first experience at 19 here in Arizona, which Denise knows changed the trajectory of my life. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
And
That's
Greg, I
good.
guess.
Greg, are you still there?
Chime in.
Of course, I'm still here. And so, hold on. So what happened to me
Mhm.
is I graduated from law school, planned to practice law. This is many years ago. I don't want to tell you how many years ago because it was probably before you were born. And I don't want to age myself that far. But my dad convinced me to work with him in his real estate business, a real estate firm in Cincinnati. And I had worked part-time in the summers. And I really liked the business because it was actually the kind of business where if you were good, you could make a lot of money without really having to report to work. I mean, you don't have to report and salute to a boss in the morning and work all day and hope at the end of the year that they give you whatever the percent raise. So, I like that idea. And I also knew that going to work for a law firm would be a huge grind. So I thought, why not give it a try? So, I'm a kid, basically. I think I was like 21 or something. So I get had my real estate license because I'd been selling. So I go out and I'd grown up in the business and listened to my dad every night and knew the business pretty well. Go out and start trying to get listings. That is, get sellers to agree to let me sell their home. I couldn't get anybody. And I mean, I even used the dad card. The dad card was, hey, my dad owns the company. He'll even give me an extra advertising budget, which of course was not true. And he would have killed me if he heard me saying that. But as a new agent, it's like, how do you compete against agents who have been around forever, like 10, 15 years, big reputations? And that's all the sellers would say to me. You're a nice young man, et cetera, et cetera. So after several months and not earning anything and really in a state of emergency, like financial emergency, because, I had really no money. I just graduated from school, and my dad was not the type that was going to be making loans to his son. I can assure you of that. He had worked very hard to build his business, and he expected that I would be able to earn my own money. I had an idea, and that was the big changing point in my life. And the idea was, to get all you guys to list your house with me, it can't be about me. It's got to be about a program. It's got to be about something I offer you that takes me personally out of the equation. Now, that's not something that you ever saw in real estate. Every real estate agent, it's all about them. I've been in the business 20 years. I sold this many homes. I'm your neighborhood expert. I'm your friend. It's all about the me. And I realized I couldn't compete as a new agent, by the way, and neither can any new agents in this business, if it's about me. So I came up with a program, came up with an idea. And the idea, and this goes back into the late 70s in Cincinnati, and the idea was, I know what I'll do. I developed a program called Make Every Agent Your Listing Agent. And I made up this flyer that says, no longer, new program in Cincinnati. Nothing to do with me, just new program in Cincinnati. That was at the top of my little flyer. Now, you no longer, if you want to sell your home, have to list with one real estate agent. You can have them all. You can have all the best agents in town all at the same time working on your home like it's their own listing. And I took all of the top agents and I listed them on the flyer. I just put their names there. Now, obviously, they didn't know that, but nothing they could say. I was saying, hey, these are the best in town, whatever. So I start putting that on go around shopping centers. This is back in another time, putting them on car windshields, go around neighborhoods, distributing them, start getting appointments with people that say, yeah, thinking about selling my home. What's this new program? So I'd say, sure. So I'd say, here it is. And I'm, by the way, the facilitator of the program. Like, I was not me. This is a program and I'm the one that's facilitating it. Yeah, I'd say, here's what it is. I said, typically a real estate commission is, back then it was 7%, was pretty standard, but let's just use 6 because that's more standard today. A standard real estate commission, 6%. I'd say, do you know that? They say, well, sure, we know. Yeah, of course we know that. I'd say normally it's split, half goes to the listing agent and half goes to the buyer agent, the person that represents the buyer. And in over 80% of real estate transactions, the buyer has their own agent. So I said, what I've done is with this, not me, with this program, all 6% goes to the agent who sells your home. So, and then in our MLS, we give every agent in town permission to market your home like it's their own. So they get the full 6% if they sell it, the same as if they were your listing agent. So I said, think about this. Every real estate agent in town has double the money incentive to sell your home as opposed to any other home. So they're going to be doing everything they can to show your home to their buyers and talk them into buying it. And they can even market it. I give them permission like it's their own listing to try to generate buyers. And so that's what it is. It's make every agent your listing agent with this program. Well, the only question they ever asked me, well, what's in it for you? And I said, well, I can't be a lazy lister. In other words, I'm going to market it. If I find a buyer, I make the 6%. If I don't, I don't. Fair and square. And I said, even if I help, and then when you get offers in, I'll help you negotiate and do all that. Even if I sell your home for free, I'll bet you'll buy a home through me if you're buying here in Cincinnati. I'll bet you'll refer people to me. I'll come out okay, no worries. They all said, oh, of course we will. I signed the next 10 in a row, 10 listings in a row. You can't say no to it. How do you say no to that? That was the magic. I developed a program that people couldn't say no to and took me out of the equation. And I would still be doing that today if my dad hadn't stopped me, because all the realtors in his firm came to him complaining that the boss's son has gone rogue and he's trying to take all our listings away. And so he called me in and said, you can't do this anymore. I'm going to lose all my agents. And I said, but Dad, we'll own the whole city with this program. Still, he didn't want to lose his agents. Bottom line is,
Greg, that's why you're on this call, because you're a disruptor. But thank you.
That's
That's a great.
It's not a subject. Yeah.
So,
I'd like-
so
I'd like-
that's what it's about. So the last thing I want to say,
Yeah.
that it's all about mindset. If you listen to the three of them, there was a shift in their mind
Exactly.
that changed things. They didn't just change physically, they changed mentally, and that's what we all do at any point. Give it
Yeah.
back to you.
All right.
Back to you.
I'd like
Denise.
to answer that question and then just open it up to the rest of the people. It's what I say, Mike, women in the audience might relate to, or actually anybody that's a little bit different. Changing point for me became my first job, which 2 weeks after graduating from Cornell, I was with the Bureau of Land Management as the first woman ever in that agency. Okay. 5,000 cowboys and me is what I used to call it. But essentially, that could have been a overwhelming challenge to a certain type of people, certain type of person, whatever. But I had withstood integrating junior high school, all white junior high school, integrating all white high school, being one of actually a few Black people at Cornell as well at that time, because I'm pretty old. But it was that confidence. Okay, I can do it. If I could do all of that, I can do this. And what I was looking for, what I decided to, a little bit without getting too much into religion, but God had put me there on that purpose. He knew I was the right person for that job. Not everybody could have handled that job. So to me, that was the turning point. Arriving in Nevada, of all places, that was my first job, going from New York City to Nevada in an agency that was entirely different and not necessarily happy about having the first woman in a position there, a professional position here. But I just took that on, and it's really guided me through everything else, that I don't feel there's anything I can't do. Not saying I won't fail at something, but there's nothing that I won't try to accomplish. So and that was really a turning point for me. And it's
Any
persistence.
questions
If
from the
some
audience?
people had to ask me for one word, for me, it's persistence. I'm still here, still standing. So
Any questions from the audience?
Heba, do you see some questions in the chat?
Yes, we have one question, please. Actually, 1 second. Okay. So would you say in today's business climate that positive disruption is a basic necessity of long-term business survival and ensured continuity? Who would
I'm
love?
sorry, would you repeat the question? You came
Yes.
interrupted for me.
Yes. Would you say in today's business climate that positive disruption is a basic necessity of long-term business survival and ensured continuity?
It's not in just those times, anytime, all the time. You have to disrupt. If not, you're just a number, like everybody else. You're doing the same core, the same thing. You know, you have to rise above the pack. You have to, look, a lot of people go and eat from the same thing. You know, they're sharing crumbs. You have to create your own path, whereby you, not sharing crumbs with everybody else. You know, you will never make money on that. The margins get very thin. The more entrance there is, there's no barrier to entry. Everybody wants to do the same thing. You're sharing crumbs. You cannot do that. You have to be constantly disrupting, constantly, and constantly meeting new people, evolving, pivoting very quickly. You have to rely on your gut feeling. Forget about what the media says or what this genius said. There are no geniuses. There are very few geniuses. And you can be a genius, but lacking execution. I would prefer somebody who's not a genius who can execute than a genius. Genius are dreaming all the time. I'm not impressed by all this stuff. So you have to stay away from that. You have to disrupt. You have to constantly research, work, be ahead, get access to intelligence that very few have. You know, read. People don't read today. Oh, they're all on their damn stupid cell phone, scrolling with and down. There's no read. There's no depth anymore. There's no depth in conversation, in everything. You know, when you put read, write, meet people like that. Stop wasting your time on losers and gossipers and all that kind of stuff. You have to constantly test your limits. You know, 99% of the people get comfortable in are comfortable in the comfort zone. You cannot have a comfort zone. Smart young guy is going to come and screw you and screw your business and disrupt everything. You want to be the ultimate.
Hello, Ziad.
Bobby will walk in the park, you know. Yeah, it's nice, friendly business. There's no friendly business. Business is war. If you don't have this attitude, this mentality, you will never be on top. So yes, constantly positive disruption. You cannot sleep on your laurels. You cannot sleep because the smallest opportunity, they're going to jump on you, especially if they know that you're making this much money and capitalize on it and screw you. On the really nice terms, oh, yeah, I like you. I love. This is all bullshit. This is all masks. Paranoia? Yeah, why not? I'm paranoid, but I don't I don't have people screw me. That's for sure.
I'm living this question of disruption again in real time, as I mentioned in the introduction. Valvoline's a great 175-year-old company, but its primary great cash business is oil change. And of course, many of you probably drive Teslas or Hyundais or VW EVs, and we've got to figure out further diversification of our services at all of the great real estate that we have for Valvoline Instant Oil Changes and we do offer fluids, but EVs, as you know, take very little maintenance. So are there other things that we can offer and do in order to keep the brand relevant, keep the share price and valuation of the company up? And we have adopted some of those and are looking at other things. Is there another company we should buy in order to expand the breadth of services that we have? So yes, it's a very personal issue to me right now to figure out. We've been disrupted. The whole auto industry has been disrupted. The model of going to a dealer and looking at a car and testing and kicking the tires is all changed now due to Tesla and other Carvana and other automobile manufacturers out there. So the whole auto industry itself is being disrupted, particularly the auto aftermarket industry. So yeah, if you got any ideas, I'm sure Denise and you can has my number. You can call me. Thanks.
Exactly.
Denise, we have another question for you.
Okay.
You said that persistence is important. At what point does persistence become futile, and when it is time to move on, or do you just pivot?
I'm sorry, Hiba, repeat the question.
Denise
I don't
said,
know why I'm having, hearing difficulties here.
We have a very bad service here in Cox.
Yeah.
I hope one of you guys in the audience can help out here. But essentially, yeah, persistence is important. But what I always tell people is you don't control everything. You can only deal with what you control, what's in your purview, what's in your universe. You can create a really big universe, but it has to be what you can control. I'm not going to control who the next president of the United States is. I'm not going to worry about that. There are things within my realm that I can make a difference in, and that's what I try to do. So persistence, it's persistence in things that are positive, beneficial to others, and that you can actually have some control over. I do another word people describe me as inspirational. I can persuade other people to do things in a lot of cases. In the bad old days of political incorrectness, I had a boss that used to say, "Oh, she can sell ice to Eskimo." Okay, so I do have that talent and able to persuade, but I've seen people run into the wall. Okay, not to live another day. I think you have to really judge a situation and do the best that you can at that moment and look to the future, make a mistake, which we all make mistakes. Get up, dust yourself off, and try again or try a different method. And I think that's one thing that's lacking today with young people. I taught university level until 2019 is kids stop There is no persistence. I call them the speed bump kids. They get to the speed bump and they stop. Speed bump is not meant for you to stop. It's meant for you maybe to slow down. It's meant for maybe you to think of another way to get around it or over it or under it or whatever. But too often today, people just stop. And that bugs me.
Yeah, because I agree with you, because they think they're entitled to that. You know, a lot of people, there's this feeling of entitlement. Number one. Number two, I agree with you on the control thing. I never get upset of things that are not under my control. I cannot control it. I don't even think about it. But things that I control and I don't do my job in executing till the end, this is where I'm pissed off. Things that I can control. I cannot control the weather. I cannot control who's going to be the next president. I cannot control this. I cannot control all this stuff. Only focus on what I can control. And I can control a lot of things. Regarding, you know, and also, but most importantly, really, most importantly, to be able to change your direction, to pivot at the first thing. A lot of people don't, because they think they're so convinced based on information they have that this is the only path. It's never the only path. There are always different paths. Always different paths. Maybe some paths are more controversial than others. You would not adopt these paths, but you know, there's always a path. You know, some people use diplomacy, intimidation, bullying, whatever. You know, I don't care as long as I get to my result. This is what it meant for me. As long as I get to the result I want. We're not cheating, lying, anything. But some people need to be confronted, others don't. This is the instinct you develop. You know, at the end of the day, we are social animals. We're not robots. A lot has to do with feelings.
I think the, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished, Ziad.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the question that Mr. Stanford Silverman asked in the chat is a good one about, and we can't probably end this call without addressing how do we address those that are going to be displaced or disadvantaged or left behind because of disruption, and using Chat GPT as an example. I think one answer to that is higher education needs to change. One of the great benefits and blessings I have about being here at Arizona State University and being on their board of trustees, and they've been ranked one of the most innovative universities 9 years in a row, is that they think entrepreneurially about how to prepare students for the workforce and what are going to be the future needs, what are the existing needs, what are the future needs in teaching. And they're still not trying to teach students in a rote manner as we did 50 or 100 years ago. So I think those are the kinds of things that are going to be needed. In the philanthropic community, Mr. Silverman is also going to need to step up. So I'm also on the board of the Helios Education Foundation, and we're making major investments in being sure that individuals who are going to be displaced by these new technologies and new industries are going to be prepared for that shift by helping them to retrain themselves and give those opportunities. Now, you can make those opportunities available, you can't make them go, but I think it's going to require a seismic shift, if you will, in terms of the way some of our institutions think about higher education and workforce. I'll stop there.
I must have missed this question because I couldn't hear it well, so I came when Denise was commenting. My views on ChatGPT and all this AI thing, I don't want to sound outdated, I'm not, but it's all gonna be bad news. We're not controlling it. We don't know who's gonna control it. People are more and more turning into absolute robots, no more thinking. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to do anything like that. Just obey. Obey what the grand authority is saying, what the big government is saying, what ChatGPT and AI is saying. This kills entrepreneurs, kills mavericks, kills rebels, kills unique people, kills your uniqueness, kills diversity, We're all equal. We are all equal morons listening to the government and to artificial intelligence. That's what it is. This is a total, I'll put any money I can to dismantle, to disrupt this completely, because this is only bad news. I don't see any good news out of that. Any good news. What, to make yeah, in some instances, it's needed for medical, for healthcare, for stuff needed. But when you start going to using it for some foreign policy or some really delicate stuff, you know, that's a disaster. That's a disaster. We are, forget about this artificial intelligence bullshit. We are, human species is the most intelligent species who ever existed. Look at all these guys who built empires, $100 billion companies. AI cannot build that. AI cannot replace this task. We need, you know, it's good to have rebels, to have mavericks, to have unique people, to upset the system. They don't want anyone to upset the system. It's all about money, power, and control. All the rest, the propaganda bullshit by these technologists, idiots from Silicon Valley. Oh, we're so smart. You're not so smart. You're a peon in the hands of people who control your life. That's what you are. You're not smart. If you went to Stanford or MIT, it doesn't make you smart. You have no experience. You are clueless. You're impressed by the big names, who basically dictate to you what you want. No, we want a revolution from the people to wake up, to take charge of their lives, of their destiny, of their hands. This is what the Financial Policy Council is all about, is to empower people, to inspire people, to develop their uniqueness. You can be odd, it's okay, be odd. There's no wrong in that. You know, all the biggest, smallest billionaires are all odd. Bill Gates dropped from Harvard, tell them, screw you, I don't need your education. Mark Zuckerberg dropped from Harvard. So many odd people, and they created empires. Oh, we want to squash them? You can't do that. Listen to our artificial intelligence. Listen to God. Listen to the robot. I will never listen to a robot. I'll use him and abuse him for tasks that I need. But you know what? This is headed in the wrong direction. And people are not even realizing this because they are so submerged in their bullshit, in their daily life, in making a buck, in feeding their families, that they don't even think. Think big, come on. We're all much smarter than that. Maybe some people are not, but obviously this is what's happening.
Ziad, there's another question for you. Would Ziad invest in disruptors for equity?
In what?
Would you invest in disruptors for equity?
For equity, yeah. For equity and for debt, yeah. We finance deals and we invest equity, yes, of course.
Another question, does a disruptor always solve a problem?
It's not a question of solving a problem. Sometimes I want to disrupt something that's good because I don't like the way it's going. I want it to go my way. You know, and who says it's going to be like this? Who says because the establishment said this is how the world order is, this is how things should be? And who the hell are you to say that? And I'm going to abide by that because your name is XYZ and you are a luminary? Who's that? I challenge the luminaries. So what? Look, you're never going to get anywhere in life if you don't challenge the establishment, if you don't disrupt things in a major way. You're nothing but dust in the wind. Nobody cares if you're alive, if you're dead, if you're breathing. Nobody cares unless you get to his pocket and disrupt his business and disrupt everything. This is it. I am the confrontational type. I admit it. Some people are not. I am. I like to confront. I like to break things up, change them, do it my way. It's my way or the highway. And I'll put every resource I have to do it my way or the highway. I'm not trying to say it. This is it. At least I'm honest. I'm not trying to say it. This is how real disruptors are. They don't care what people think, what the establishment think, what the governments think, what ChatGPT and AI think. They challenge everybody. Because at the end of the day, it's a war between me and them. Am I going to get my way or their way? They're not going to get their way. I hate authority. I resent authority. I'm going to get my way. So I put a rally, the smartest people around me who get me, most of them don't, and who get what I'm trying to do, to embark on this and screw up everything for the good. I'm not doing it for the bad, for the good of society. I know what's good. I have values. I know what's good. I was brought in a very, conservative Catholic environment. I have values. This is my value. I'm not going to compromise my values because some asshole liberal is telling me this is how it should be. You should live with your times. You should adapt to your times. No, bullshit. You're going to adapt to me. And this is a war now. So do I have enough people, money, resources to break him and to adapt my system? Remember again, Niccolo Machiavelli. The most challenging is to change the order of things. Once you start changing the order of things, you become dangerous and disruptive. And you know what? Being dangerous is good. It's not bad, because at least you're not irrelevant. You know, this is the most important thing. And look at what happened with Trump. Why do they hate him, all of them? Because they cannot control him, because he's the ultimate disruptive. Look at Jesus Christ. Look at tons of examples throughout history. You want to do something in your life? It's not by writing about it. It's not by bitching and going on the street and burning some buildings, all this bullshit. It's not by showing them, okay, you want to see where the real power is? This is the real power. I'm gonna be your worst nightmare. And I have the resources to do that. If you don't have this attitude, you are a normal guy. 7 billion people are like this. Don't worry. But you're never going to be super rich, super wealthy, super influential, super disruptor, and have a legacy and leave a legacy. You're never going to be that. So let's be realistic. But you may not want to be that. That's fine. It's your choice. It's not my choice. It's not my choice. I resent authority. I resent stupidity. And I resent the establishment. And I will do it my way. And I'm always going to strive to bring people my way so that we can build this thing together. AI, ChatGPT is the most dangerous thing out there. People don't see anything. They're just seeing the surface. They're all influenced by, oh, this technology magazine wrote about this and that. They should know better. They should know nothing. The Congress doesn't know nothing. Believe me, I had my son work in Congress as a staffer. The Congress people don't know shit. The only people who know are the staffers, who write the documents, who write everything. The Congress people know shit. They're not aware. All what they care about is raising money for their campaign to stay in power. They know nothing about the issues of today. Totally detached. I mean, it's their staffers who do that. So don't be fooled by all these things around. People are so fooled. They pass, they pull a fast one on all of us, and they want us to believe that because it's a trend. How can you counter the trend? Yeah, are you crazy? Well, you know what? I'm not crazy enough. That's the point. And all the people who made it big time, they were saying, I was not crazy enough. I read tons of books about that. I was not too crazy enough. I was not crazy. If we think like this, all of us as a nature, we will take back this country. We will make a difference. We will shake them up. But if we keep pushing and believing all their bullshit and all the bullshit provided by the liberal colleges, Harvard, Stanford, they're all the same shit, all the same shit. You know, I went to an Ivy League college. You know, I know it's all the same shit. I know what happens there. So let's wake up. Let's wake up, please. I mean, this is becoming ridiculous. All what's happening and nobody pushing back and everybody sitting and listening to them, to Congress people on TV who all what they want is raise money. I get 12, 15 calls a day of people who want to raise money, Republicans. My response to them, go and grow some fucking balls before you ask for my money. You know, they do nothing and they ask for money and ask for money and ask for money. Nothing. It's like I'm a machine. I'm a fucking robot. A robot calls me. Come on, wake up, grow some fucking balls. We have to take back this country. We have to stop believing this bullshit. We have to all be contrarians. Enough. That's how I feel. And I don't care what people think or are going to say. I don't give a shit what people say or going to say. I am making a difference. I know what I'm doing. Now, if you want to join us at FBC and let's make a difference, and you will see what we're trying to do. If you want to keep as an observer there, looking around and criticizing and bitching, you can do that till you get 90 years old. Nothing is going to happen. You are either an observer and a player with big fucking balls. What's your choice? It's up to you.
Another question, I think, for the panelists: what are your biggest mistakes in life?
What are your biggest what?
Mistakes.
What are your biggest mistakes in life?
Like,
I will let the other answer then.
that's okay. Veda, you have an example?
Yeah, I think Zia somewhat touched upon it, and it probably just comes to the point of sometimes we're not bold enough or we're a little too conservative in our approach, and we miss out on an opportunity. And I'll even just self-admit, I wish I would have. We were able to get into the NBA is one of the few sports leagues, for example, that allows 30% of private equity or sovereign wealth funds to invest now. None of the other leagues do. I'm sure other leagues are looking at it in order. I think that maybe Major League Soccer is another because it's an international sport. But the NFL is the big holy grail that people are looking at. And so when we came in to invest, I wish I would have invested more. I would have probably got a greater return. The Phoenix, the private equity fund that I was involved in got into the Phoenix Suns at 1.55 billion.
How's it going?
Good. They got in at 1.55 billion. The franchise sold for $4 billion recently. So my return would have been more conservative. So just one personal example, not being too conservative can yield greater benefit. Let me just stop there.
Great. And I don't know, Gregory's still here? I know he had something he had to run off to, so he may be gone. I'll answer that too. I don't have any regrets. So there's a difference between a regret and a mistake. I've, made, just like anybody else, plenty of mistakes in life. Usually one recent thing I've come across is that I need to help pull people up rather than trying to push them up. Okay. To get back into more of my inspirational mode and having people come with me or follow me than trying to grab people and make them into something or change them into something different or better or something that I like. I spend a lot of time doing that. It's not only not profitable, it's not effective. Okay. So my goal now in life is to lead, get back into the leading role. They used to make a joke about Obama leading from behind or whatever. That doesn't work. You have to be out front, and you may take the first bullet, but that's the way it is. And so I think the biggest mistake I took is not just pushing myself to be the lead. I know what my strengths are. I know what I can do to go ahead and do it, instead of trying to get other groups together or everybody else to help out or blah, blah, blah. Just go at it myself, and people will follow you. So that's something I've learned most recently.
That's very wise, Denise. Very wise, very wise.
So,
Well, I'll tell you, for me, the way I look at it is this way. Think about you're now 90 years old. What do you want to remember? You want to say, I should have done this? It's too late now? Or I should have done that? Or do you want to say, God, I don't believe I had the balls to do this, and smile and have a smile on your face? I don't believe I had the guts to do this. I was crazy. I love it. I love my life. I had the guts to do it. That's what you want to say. Not like I should have done this. Regrets is the worst when you cannot change anything anymore. We have a limited time on this planet. What do you want to do with it? You remember your life as really having, absolutely changed a lot of things. inspired millions of people, empowered tons of people. Or say, you know what, shit, I was not ballsy enough. I was too careful on what people think. At the end of the day, we're here to make an impact. What impact do you want to make? Exactly. I mean, that's the point. This is, you know, you have to go forward and then look back. What have I done? I mean, so many empty lives. They haven't done nothing. You know, nothing. And there's nothing to, and you cannot turn back. You're done. So regrets, there's no regrets. The more mistake you make, the better you're going to become. You know, the better you're going to become, the tougher you're going to become, the more relentless you're going to become. You will never accept loss. You will never accept this. You will keep pushing, pushing, pushing. Most of the people reach a point whereby they can't push anymore. Most of the people are not confrontational. Most of the people will not go to the extreme. Most of the people are not relentless. They will give up right before things happen. And all those people who wait till the end, who keep prevailing, pounding, even if 7 billion people tell you you're wrong, tell them you're fucking wrong, and I'm going to prove it to you. And I know that. Don't succumb to public opinion, to media, to government, to your boss who's nothing but a political guy, because he got there because he's just a political guy. He's not that smart. You know, don't succumb to this. This kind of stuff, you don't learn it in schools and in colleges. You learn it here at FBC. This kind of stuff, they won't tell you this stuff because they don't want you to become like this. Because if you become like this, you're out of their control. You're dangerous. You are dangerous. They don't want you to think like this. I mean, all what these big elite Ivy League colleges produce is robots. Robots, you know, just take orders, do this, do that. They don't want guys who are gonna get out of the system and do what they want and screw the boss and sue the company and take their clients, etc. You know, this is it. So it's a choice. You may not have this personality to do that, and you may, but it's up to you. I know I have chosen my path, and I'm not going back on that because it works. It works, but it takes to have the mettle to do it. Not everybody can do it. But if you keep persisting, you'll be able to do it. Anyway, I don't want to elaborate more, but I think you get the gist of it.
Sounds great. I think we have time for just one quick question, and then we have to wrap it up. This is in case I get cut off again by the internet. I want to really thank everybody for coming today, and just outstanding questions, outstanding discussion. So, Hiba, did you say you had one more question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if somebody would love to add his question, or shall we close?
Okay, I thought you had another one. Sounds good.
There's one from Fred, yes. Would you consider this time period as ultra disruptive given the accelerated pace of innovation and changes to traditional business models?
I didn't get, I don't understand your question. What is that? Make it shorter, please. Make it shorter. I don't want these long-winded questions. Make it shorter.
Would you consider this time period as ultra disruptive given the accelerated pace of innovation and changes of traditional business models?
It's not just this time. It's not just this time. Every time is ultra disruptive then, but have you taken the opportunity to capitalize on this? The 80s were disruptive. The 90s were disruptive. Of course, as we go along, it becomes more disruptive, but it's still disruptive. Still, people don't, I mean, disruptive is changing the order of things. Can you do that? Innovate, do something absolutely brilliant, shocking, unnerving, earthquake, etc. This has happened since the beginning of time. You know, I mean, all the people, it doesn't happen now. It's not like we are now the smartest generation ever. We're not. Frankly, we are one of the most stupid generation with the resources we have. We have produced the output we have done is very little compared to the resources we have. Whereby 200-300 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, they have many less resources, and look what they've produced. Look what they've done. We're regressing, especially in the Western industrialized world. I mean, if you have technology and cell phone, it doesn't mean that we are advancing. This is not thing. It's much. It encompasses much more than that. So it's been all over, Greg. It's not now, but a lot of people don't even see it, don't recognize it. People today do, because they're informed, because of the internet, because of the access to information. People are more aware at a younger age. People today are too. A 20-year-old guy today is very different than a 20-year-old guy, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They're informed, and it's going to go accelerate even more. But it's not whether it's accelerating or not, is that can you disrupt, and you know how to disrupt, and does it fit your personality? Disrupt, it's not for everybody. A lot of people can't take it. If I really tell you what you go through that, you're going to cry. It's not like for the faint of heart. These are the people who are going to get offended because they feel that you're rude or because that you use the F word. And these guys are never going to be disruptors. These guys are never going to go anywhere. Oh, you offended me. You used the F word. You know how rude you can be. Yeah, right. Go fuck yourself. Now you feel better? I mean, seriously, man. I mean, you see, it takes it. Look, listen. This is not here. We're between friends here. Okay, I'm not here to offend anybody. But I'm going to tell you, really, this is what it takes to really get there. If you want a major disruption and positive change in your life, you cannot be normal. Stop being normal. Normal for me is boring. Normal is average. Normal gets you anywhere. It doesn't get you anywhere. Oh, I'm normal. I have to fit in. You don't have to fit in. Let them fit in with you. Uplift their standards. Don't lower your standards to fit with this moronic population, brainwashed to death by the media, by government, etc. You want to uplift them. I'm afraid to say, oh, if I say they're going to cancel me, fuck you. You're going to cancel me? Come in, bring it on, bring it on. You have to be like, when you do this, they're afraid of you because they don't know what you're capable of. When you abide by that, okay, you know, this is becoming a society of wimps. All of us, wimps. We can't say a word. We can't think objectively. We can't confront. We can't deal with issues. Everybody has to weigh his words. You don't have to. You don't have to. This is what we at the Financial Policy Council, I'm not advertising this. I don't need this shit. This is what we do. This is a forum for doers, activists, mavericks, game changers. The more you are, the more you're welcome. And the more you're offended by this, get the fuck out of here. I don't miss my word. This is how we'll be building. This is what we're building a powerhouse. You want to be part of it? Or you want to go and be offended what the other guys are going to say? Today, nobody speaks like this because they've all been castrated. They don't dare. And this is why they're nobodies. They're nobodies. All the people who speak and who do things are, you know, say it, do it. The left keeps pushing and we are pushing, and instead of pushing back, we retreat. And then I get a call from the Republican guys. Oh, thank you for your contribution. I want more. Go fuck yourself. When you grow some balls, I'll give you more money. Okay? When I hear the Kevin McCarthy, etc. I don't care. This is going to be on video. I don't care. You think I care? Oh, it's going to be on video. How can you do that on video? Let it be. Let people wake the fuck up. We are $36 trillion. I don't know. I can't count anymore in debt. We're bankrupt. We're screwed up completely, and we still have to be careful of not offending other people. You don't cure cancer by putting a Band-Aid. You cure cancer by extracting. What's all a Band-Aid? Everybody has to feel good. Don't be offended. Sorry, I offended you. It was a misplaced word. Back the fuck up.
Yeah.
Once we start putting back like this, believe me, we're going to see a huge difference. A huge difference. If we don't, you know, good luck.
I can summarize, don't be a wimp, okay?
Thank
Don't be
you.
a wimp. One thing I see now, all the first this, first woman, first African-American, first whatever. We need, be a first. That's all I can say. Be a first. That's something to aim at. I used to get.
At the end of the day, guys or gals, when we are the first, it's contagious. Believe me, it will go snowballing. But try to step up to the plate. Start thinking. Take the first step. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. This reign of fear and terror has to go. Don't be afraid. This is our country. This is our system. We're not going to be swayed by 2-3% who think differently and get offended. Go fuck yourself. Get offended.
Great. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for being on. I hope this stimulated you a little bit. Hopefully give you some new ideas, some new inspiration to go out there.
Denise, you wanted to webinar on disruptors. This is as disrupting as it can be.
We want disruptors.
That's what I wanted.
Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks. My personal thanks to the Financial Policy Council for hosting this. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did putting it on. And the speakers, these all, obviously, as you can see, people willing to talk. So don't be afraid about contacting them, following up. If you have other questions come up, see what they're doing, copy the good things that they're doing, question them about the things you don't like or whatever. Keep us going, keep us inspired, keep us moving. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
It does. Thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Ziad.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for coming.